Welcome, Marianne and Bain, to 2026. Lovely to see you both after a wonderful holiday. Today, we are going to delve into the future of both technology and business. And before we do that, we just want to sort of have a little chat about what our major thoughts were around 2025 in terms of technology and business. What did we see in terms of the major trends there? So I might just start off with you, Bain, on that.
Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing year, and I must say that you're kicking off the new year with a very strong shirt there, Alan. It's excellent.
Thanks very much.
Excellent, strong start. I mean, 2025, cliche just goes past super quick. The landscape that we operate in, obviously around technology and business and globally, has just been moving around dramatically.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to be talking about AI a little bit further on in the discussion, but it continues to, come on in leaps and bounds over that year, and we'll be looking into 2026 as well. And, it's amazing to think that it was 3 years ago, roughly, when it broke cover around OpenAI and ChatGPT. So we've had 3 years of this massive global change happening all around us.
Yes.
And still there are so many things to talk about, so many unanswered kind of questions and so many avenues to kind of drop into.
Marianne, you went for a few travels around the place in 2025.
So I guess it depends on where you are, really, so about what happened in 2025. But probably some of the things that's more noticeable is, if you look outside of New Zealand, maybe things shifted a little bit more and shifted a little bit faster than what they were in New Zealand.
Yes.
Probably due to different economies and scale. We're talking about things on a completely different scale of what we are here. So just looking across in Europe, for example, and even if you're thinking about what's happening in AI, people are beyond sort of that optimization arena and looking to actually scale that out, whether it be in products, whether it be in your business strategy, your operating model, wherever it is, they're moving beyond that optimization. And that's really, if I bring that back to 2026, where I think New Zealand might be heading in 2026 as well.
And if you're thinking about business here in New Zealand, are we really playing catch up in terms of business and technology? Is that your thoughts? Or, what is our thinking there?
I think maybe we've been a bit more cautious.
Yeah.
We're still seeing a lot of inflationary pressures. We're not maybe investing as heavily in areas as what globally is happening. I think we're just cautiously stepping into things, and maybe this year is the year that we look at, okay, well, what are the core business things that we can actually be doing with the technology that we've got, and how can we start reimagining that and put something forward that's actually of value, deeper value to customer proposition and the rest of our business.
What are most New Zealand organisations, businesses, boards, CTOs, CEOs, what are they actually thinking about AI at this point in time?
Yeah, well, I think that, and we all have our own individual experiences, right? And I think that everyone and every organisation and every entity is at kind of a different stage.
Yeah.
With their understanding of and the application of and the way that the leaders think about it.
Yes.
And that's kind of quite interesting in its own right. We're all on this collective global journey together,
Yes.
and obviously it's not just New Zealand or our part of the world, it's happening everywhere. And if you think about before this even started to happen, organisations were already grappling with complexity and also a range of technology challenges as they pertain to various aspects of digital or cloud or what have you. So there's an awful lot of work happening and needed to be done, and then you tip a platform shift on top of that. And it is quite challenging, I think, for executives and those on boards to figure out their way through this stage, and because it's not exactly clear what the end goal is, but there's obviously quite a lot of clarity around the power of the platform shift and the potential. And I think the real power comes from understanding as much best we can where it fits, how we adopt it into our personal lives, our own habits, our own behaviours, and then start to think more strategically around how we can change. And there's a huge opportunity for New Zealand in terms of productivity if we can crack some of those more team and company level impacts.
Yes. And there's a lot of pressure from the top, from the board, saying we must have AI. What are you doing about AI? And what is your strategy? And so the strategy, you've talked a bit about strategy lately. That's an interesting thing about how as a company, how do you use that strategy to potentially walk that global line based in New Zealand? And what are your thoughts on
Well, I
that
wonder if it's more what is your business strategy to embrace being AI native? So it's not what is your AI strategy or your digital strategy, it's what is your business strategy. And we know it's coming, so what are the areas that we really think that you can embrace that and you can use that and take the opportunities that it affords you to do things in a completely new way. Don't just redo what you've already done in an automated way.
Exactly.
Just think about what it could look like. The impossible, the things that you thought were either, I don't know, too hard, too expensive, took too long. Transformation is now less complex than it was before because we've got a lot of help.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of intelligence to help us get there. And so we need to start harnessing that and start thinking about, okay, well, what is our business strategy and how can we best play into that using the tools and the technologies that we've got?
What do you see as some of the major trends that are going to occur using AI?
I think there's some unstoppable movements, particularly around software engineering and the way that our engineers have raced in to adopt this technology and improve their productivity and their throughput and just everything they do in working with code and systems, and so many really interesting, intricate takeouts from how and where to use different sorts of tooling in the life cycle. And that exploratory stage has been really super active, and there's lots of people globally in that, and I think that's really exciting for the movement. You know, without a doubt, globally, we never had a surplus of software engineering folks, so there's really been a long period now, many decades of unmet demand for software. And maybe AI is our key to sort of unlocking that, and software making its way into other areas which might not have been accessible because of, you know, labour shortage or cost or what have you. There's some really exciting sort of frontiers that this might unlock. But bringing that back home to our own teams, it's just been fascinating watching them lift and change how they work. And I think as we get into the meaty part of 2026, some of those parts of traditionally how we've worked, whether it's within, you know, frameworks or processes, we might need to unpack some of those and look at them again through the lens of this tooling and this technology.
So we're based in Australia and the UK and New Zealand, and we're looking globally. What sort of trends do we see happening in 2026 other than AI? What are the major themes that we've got that are going to happen during 2026?
Data being a strategic asset, I think we're going to really start seeing that play out more and more, because I guess it's the line of defence that we have against the sort of, I'm going to bring it back to AI again, those, you know, the generic language models. What we have internally, or what everybody has as their own data, is going to be that differentiator. It's going to help us capture that, report that, understand our insights, get into that hyper-personalisation world, and really differentiate ourselves from our competitors as well, or go in a completely different direction that you maybe didn't think was possible before. So I think, 2026, we're going to start seeing a lot more of that happen in New Zealand. It's definitely been out there globally. And then I think the other part of that is sort of seeing some of the, because it's such a big thing in Europe, the GDPR and, you know, compliance and governance around data and so forth. And we can see it in sort of the mega economic forces as well, where things are being regionalised. We've obviously got some data centres coming to New Zealand, so that's more and more possible for us. So for New Zealand specifically, we can actually start seeing that playing out in a really real way as we go into this year as well.
Yeah.
So about the data, do you think there's a shift? Like a lot of the insurance and banks are still on legacy solutions. Is that our understanding still?
I think we call those heritage.
Heritage. So it's, you know, extracting that data, is that still an issue for us? Is that something that's still going to be an issue in 2026?
I mean, I think it's a really good question, and that there's a lot of things that we were all working on before this came along, right? And that was one of them that was really important.
That's right.
Is currency of systems and you know, availability of data, and making sure all the knowledge workers within an organisation had access to the tools and those things that needed to improve their productivity. And I think it's still there. But I think what is interesting in the future is how you approach those problems might change quite dramatically. And we've done a lot of work in 2025 with relatively advanced diagnostics that are powered by LLMs.
Yes.
And drastically shortening the amounts of time to triage and to gather insight, to figure out what to do with various types of architectures and the clients that we're working with.
Yep.
And I think the same opportunity exists with data at scale in those big companies, maybe looking at it slightly differently. There'll be different tooling. There'll be all sorts of add-ons and features coming from the existing providers of those tools.
What advice would you give to CTOs for 2026, Bain?
I think that particularly locally, CTOs walking towards all the technology changes that we've been discussing, and particularly as it relates to AI, I think getting the competency, I suppose, and the learning and the support into your staff should continue at pace, because that's the best way to democratise the usage of things.
Yeah.
And the cultural settings and leadership that we've already talked about around that is the work on for the year. And that puts you in a really great place for adoption.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, thanks, Bain. Thoughts, Miriam? Anything to add?
I think that it's never been a better time to re-architect your value than what we have now. The opportunities are now just to think about if you want a different product, if you want a different service.
Yeah.
What is that business model that you're wanting to have? Now is the time to think about it because we've got enough in terms of resources.
Yeah.
We've got other skills coming into the market.
Yeah.
It's not as expensive. We've got more information. Now's the time to really harness that opportunity and think deeply about that.
Nice. Thanks, Miriam. I'm going to go back to you now, Bain. I'm going to change it to the CEO. What advice would you give the CEO for 2026?
I think that, as a CEO, you could consider it's been 3 years, particularly around AI, and you, I think, from a leadership perspective, can afford to take a few bets. I think you could push your stakeholders a little bit, and they're educating themselves and working towards this. And I think, some of the signals that they get around just using AI, I think you can push back on that a bit and actually frame that up around productivity and transformation and leadership and culture and all those sorts of things that we know are going to be required. It's complicated, it's complex, and there are going to be some things that don't work and things that really do work. And the things that do work might drop some huge upside for your business.
Thoughts on that one, Miriam?
Everything that Bain said. And
Fair enough, though.
And now's the time to go and do those things. If your budget for your organisation is just about efficiency, I think you're missing a trick.
Yeah.
All of these things that we can do now, it's in the psyche of everybody. Everybody wants to know what you're doing with your transformation, whether it be digital, how you're bringing AI into it, whatever it is. Take that opportunity to leapfrog forward now. Yeah.
Good on you. Quite right too.
And I think, what's worked really well for us
Yeah.
as well is leaning into build
Yes.
and just getting out there and doing some things.
Yeah. Show, not tell sort of thing.
Yeah. There's a long time to wait for everyone on the sidelines with this shift. And I think as things become clear, it could still be a significant amount of time yet. You could be, waiting a long time and you could have used that time to prepare with your competencies and your people and your culture anyway. And try a few things and learn together as a team.
So, Bain, what trend is getting too much attention and what's not getting enough, do you think?
I think this is changing in 2026 as we get started in the year.
Yeah.
Historically, the use of tools to the actual syntax generation, the code generation, there's a lot of focus around that part of the life cycle.
Yes.
And it's amazing, no doubt about it. And there's no going back to the old days. Most of the high-end engineers that we know are doing prompt-based engineering. It's amazing. So it's getting a lot of attention, maybe too much attention. The other areas of work that they do have not really been having the same amount of attention. There's an awful lot of productivity opportunity outside the actual place of where engineers may have spent their time coding.
So the full software development life cycle.
The full life cycle. And as you guys know, because we've been working in this space, there's huge amounts of optimization that we can do using the new tooling that's available to optimize the time that people spend.
Yes.
There's traditional things there too. I mean, we spend a lot of time in meetings and doing rituals, and some of those things might be up for grabs this year, and we might be able to speed up a bunch of those pieces. It really is an element of kind of what's possible.
The art of the possible. Yeah, okay. Cool.
Yep. That's been getting a lot of attention. I think what I wish would get more attention is our ability to actually get information from all corners of everywhere and bring that together and then use our brains to actually make those critical decisions on how we go forward on that, or get in a room and use the brains around the table to make those decisions and propel us forward. So just being able to tap into that and get that a lot quicker than what we have before.
Excellent.
But one of the things that is on our mind to one degree or another as we go through time is the role of people and teams and human connection. And I know that we've talked about this as a team more recently, and as people and teams and communities have moved through this world in the last 20 years, and we have had social media and we've had more and more technology than ever, and sometimes it's hard to connect. As the technology is amazing and we all carry it in our pockets and what have you, but understanding the human parts of actually getting together, working in close proximity, physical proximity as a team, and coming away from those things with something that's hard to put your finger on.
Yeah. If you could summarise this year in one word or phrase, what would it be?
This year?
Yeah, this year. I'm going to start with you, Marianne.
If I think of the end of 2026, I guess one of the things I really wonder about is, will this be the end of the spreadsheet? Finally.
Excellent.
Underneath that is a really interesting...
Yeah, there's a whole lot of things here.
Well, and it's been and still is up for grabs in the sense of how are we going to all interact? Because we have an awful lot of applications and spreadsheets and things that we've used for a long period of time, which are hyper productive.
Yeah.
And then there's technology coming along where we can have discussions and talk and just generate things. And to your earlier point around data, if the data's there as well, then how we get through our traditional office knowledge worker world, it could change quite
dramatically.
Quite dramatically, yeah.
Seems like a much more fun world to me.
Yeah. And Bain?
We use the word amplification a lot recently, and I think that will continue into this year.
Amplification.
And it's, this movement being a great amplifier of things that businesses do, things that might be, less tidy and things that are super tidy. And more traditionally, having everything well organised from a data perspective and having your workflows well understood and just really, being tight from a software engineering shop perspective, this amplifier will work well. Conversely, if there's areas that tech leaders haven't got to and it hasn't really seemed that important over the years, it's going to be potentially a little bit tough to get going with some of these things. Yeah. And I think, amplifying the good and bad is going to be a thing this year.
Big part of it. That's been wonderful. I'd like to thank you, Bain, and you, Marianne, for joining me in this podcast.
Thank you, Alan.
Absolutely wonderful. And we're going to have an awesome 2026, and we're going to make sure that our clients and all the people that we know are going to have that too. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.